Imagine this. You open a letter from your parents, people you thought you knew, and discover they've left everything to someone else. Not a dime for you. Not a whisper of your name. That sting of betrayal, it's real, isn't it? We've all felt invisible at some point, overlooked by the ones who should see us most. Hi, I'm your name, and welcome to Whispers of the Mind, where we unravel the secrets that haunt us, the stories that twist our hearts, and the truths we're afraid to face. Today, we're diving into the weight of ink, a tale so wild it'll make you question your own family. Gold hidden in basements, a trash-talking parrot, a cigar-smoking ghost. Stick with me to the end, because you won't believe where this goes. Let's peel back the layers together. Trust me, you'll wish you'd known this sooner. Chapter 1. The Letter That Changed Everything. The rain tapped against the window of my small apartment like a restless child demanding attention. I sat on the faded green couch, my one piece of furniture that wasn't secondhand, staring at the envelope in my hands. It was thick, cream-colored, and embossed with the logo of Harper & Sons, attorneys at law. My parents had been gone for 3 months. Their car accident, a sudden slash across the canvas of my life, and this was the first real piece of their aftermath to land in my mailbox. I tore it open, expecting the usual legal jargon about settling their estate. Instead, I found a single sentence that stopped my heart. To our son, Daniel James Carter, we bequeath the entirety of our estate, including the house, savings, and all personal belongings. My name is Emily Carter. I'm their daughter, and I wasn't mentioned anywhere. The room spun. My fingers trembled as I reread the words, searching for some hidden clause, some footnote that said, "Oh, and Emily, we didn't forget you." But there was nothing. Just Daniel's name, scrawled in my mother's elegant cursive at the bottom, next to my father's shaky signature. I pictured them sitting at the kitchen table in our old Victorian house, Mom with her tea, Dad with his reading glasses perched on his nose, deciding I wasn't worth a dime. The house where I grew up, the savings they'd bragged about building for the kids, the antique jewelry Mom promised I'd inherit. It all went to my older brother, Daniel, the golden boy. The one who moved to California 5 years ago and barely called. The one who skipped Dad's 70th birthday because he was too busy with his startup. Meanwhile, I'd been the one driving Mom to chemo appointments, fixing Dad's leaky faucet, and bringing groceries when their pensions ran thin. I wasn't perfect. God knows I had my flaws. But I thought I'd earned a piece of their trust, their love, their legacy. Apparently not. I threw the letter onto the coffee table and paced the room, my bare feet slapping against the cold hardwood. Anger coiled in my chest like a snake, hissing questions I couldn't answer. Why him? Why not me? Was I invisible to them? The walls of my tiny apartment seemed to close in, the air thick with the scent of damp plaster and betrayal. I grabbed my phone and dialed Daniel's number, my pulse thudding in my ears. He picked up on the third ring. "Em? Hey, what's up?" His voice was casual, sunny, like he was lounging by a pool in LA. "Did you know?" I spat, skipping the pleasantries. "Know what?" "The will. Mom and Dad left everything to you. Everything." Silence stretched across the line, a canyon opening between us. Then he sighed. "Yeah, I got a letter too. I was going to call you." "When? After you'd sold the house? After you'd cashed the checks?" My voice cracked, but I didn't care. "Em, I didn't ask for this. I don't even know why they did it." "Bullshit," I snapped. "You must have sweet-talked them, played the prodigal son card. Meanwhile, I'm here picking up the pieces, and I get nothing." "I swear I had no idea," he said, his tone softening. "Listen, we'll figure this out. Come to the house tomorrow. We'll talk." The house. Our house. His house now. I hung up without saying goodbye, my hand shaking. Tomorrow, I'd face him. Tomorrow, I'd demand answers. But tonight, I sat alone in the dark, the rain my only companion, wondering how my family had become strangers. Question for reflection. Have you ever felt overlooked by the people you love most? How did you handle that sting of rejection? Chapter 2. The House of Secrets. The drive to the old Victorian house took an hour, but it felt like a lifetime. The road wound through the Massachusetts countryside, past skeletal trees and fields dusted with frost. March in New England is a tease, winter clinging on, spring too shy to show its face. The house loomed ahead, its gabled roof and peeling paint a monument to my childhood. I parked my beat-up Toyota next to Daniel's sleek Tesla, a glaring reminder of the gap between us. He was waiting on the porch, hands shoved in his pockets, his dark hair tousled by the wind. At 35, he still had that boyish charm Mom adored, broad shoulders, easy smile. I climbed the steps, my boots thudding against the warped wood, and stopped a few feet away. "You look like hell," he said, eyeing my unwashed hair and the bags under my eyes. "Thanks," I muttered. "Let's get this over with." Inside, the house smelled of dust and memories, lavender from Mom's sachets, the faint tang of Dad's pipe tobacco. The living room was unchanged, the floral sofa, the oak bookshelf, the framed photo of us at the beach when I was 8 and Daniel was 12. I traced my finger over the glass, my younger self grinning up at him like he hung the moon. Now, I wasn't sure I even knew him. "So," I said, crossing my arms. "Explain." He sank into Dad's armchair, rubbing his temples. "I don't have an explanation, Em. I got the same letter you did. I haven't talked to them about the will in years, not since they updated it when Mom got sick." "Then why you?" My voice rose. "I was here, Daniel. I stayed. You left." "I know." He looked down, his jaw tight. "Maybe they thought I needed it more. The startup's been bleeding money. I didn't tell them how bad it was, but Mom had a way of knowing." I laughed, sharp and bitter. "So they rewarded you for failing? That's rich." "It's not like that," he snapped, his eyes flashing. "You don't get it. They didn't trust me to figure it out on my own. This isn't a gift, it's a leash. A leash worth $500,000, I shot back. "Cry me a river." We glared at each other, the air crackling with years of unspoken resentment. Then he stood and pulled a key from his pocket, tossing it onto the coffee table between us. It landed with a dull clink. "What's that?" I asked. "The house key. Take it." I blinked. "What? You want it, right? The house, the memories, all of it? It's yours. I don't need this place dragging me back." I stared at the key, its brass surface catching the light. Was this a trick? A peace offering? My fingers itched to grab it, but pride held me back. "I don't want your pity," I said. "It's not pity," he replied. "It's fairness. But if you're too stubborn to take it, that's on you." He walked out, leaving me alone with the key and 1,000 questions. I picked it up, the metal cold against my skin, and felt the weight of choice settle over me. Advice for reflection. Sometimes what we fight for isn't what we need. What would you do if someone handed you what you wanted, but not the way you wanted it? Chapter 3. The Hidden Room. I didn't leave the house that night. Daniel drove off, his taillights disappearing into the dusk, and I stayed, wandering the halls like a ghost. The key burned a hole in my pocket, a symbol of something I couldn't name. I ended up in the attic, a place I hadn't visited since I was a kid sneaking up to read Mom's old romance novels. The stairs creaked under my weight, and the air was thick with the musty scent of time. The attic was a maze of boxes and forgotten things, Christmas decorations, Dad's fishing gear, a busted rocking horse. I was about to head back down when I noticed a seam in the wall, barely visible behind a stack of crates. Curiosity tugged at me, and I shoved the crates aside, revealing a small door. It was locked, but the key from Daniel fit perfectly. Inside was a room I'd never seen. The walls were lined with shelves, each holding rows of leather-bound journals. A desk sat in the center, cluttered with papers and a single lamp. I flicked it on, and the light spilled over a photograph taped to one of the journals. Me and Daniel, maybe 5 and 9, sitting on the front steps, with ice cream dripping down our chins. My breath caught. What was this place? I opened the first journal, dated 10 years ago, and recognized Mom's handwriting. "Emily is strong," she'd written. "Stronger than she knows. Daniel drifts, lost in his dreams." I worry he'll never find his way. Page after page detailed our lives. My late night studying, Daniel's reckless adventures, my quiet loyalty, his loud ambition. But then came an entry from last year. We've decided to leave it all to Daniel. Emily will hate us for it, but she'll survive. She always does. He needs this to anchor him or he'll drown. Tears blurred the words. They hadn't forgotten me. They'd chosen him over me, believing I didn't need saving. I slammed the journal shut, my chest heaving. That's when I saw the envelope tucked beneath it, addressed to me in Dad's scrawl. Question for reflection. What secrets do you think your family keeps from you? How would you feel if you uncovered their true thoughts? Chapter 4. The Twist of Truth. My hands shook as I tore open the envelope. Inside was a single sheet of paper folded twice, and a smaller key taped to the bottom. Dad's handwriting was faint, the ink smudged from his unsteady grip. Emily, if you're reading this, you found the room. We knew you would. You've always been the one to dig deeper. The will was never about love, it was about need. Daniel's lost, and we hoped this would tether him. But you're our legacy in ways he'll never be. The key is to the safe in my study. Take what's there. It's yours. I stumbled downstairs to Dad's study, my mind reeling. The safe was hidden behind a painting of the Boston skyline, a trick he'd shown me once as a kid. The key turned smoothly, and the door swung open to reveal a velvet box and a stack of letters. Inside the box was Mom's sapphire necklace, the one she'd worn on special occasions, its deep blue catching the light like a captured sea. The letters were from her, one for every birthday since I'd turned 18, each detailing her pride, her fears, her love. I sank to the floor, clutching the necklace, and read until my eyes burned. "You're my strength, Emily," she wrote in one. "I wish I told you more." The twist wasn't that they'd abandoned me. It was that they trusted me to find my own inheritance, hidden not in money, but in meaning. When Daniel returned the next morning, I showed him the journals. His face paled as he read Mom's words about his struggles. "I didn't know they saw me like that," he whispered. "They saw us both," I said, "just differently." Advice for reflection. Trust can look like neglect if you don't see the whole picture. What hidden gifts might be waiting for you in the places you least expect? Chapter 5. The Resolution. We divided the estate that week. Daniel kept the savings. He needed it more than he'd admit, and I took the house and Mom's jewelry. But the real resolution came in the quiet moments after, when we sat on the porch with coffee, the frost melting under a weak March sun. "I'm sorry," he said, staring at the horizon, "for not being here, for letting you carry it all." "I'm sorry too," I replied, "for assuming the worst." We weren't fixed, not entirely. Years of distance couldn't be erased in a day. But we were starting, rebuilding on a foundation of truth instead of resentment. The house was mine now, a space to grow into, and the necklace hung around my neck, a reminder of Mom's faith in me. As Daniel drove away, I walked back inside, the journals stacked on the table. I'd keep digging, keep learning who they were, who I was. The rain had stopped, and the air felt lighter, like a promise. Question for reflection. What would it take for you to forgive someone who hurt you, even unintentionally? How can you start rebuilding what's broken in your own life? Chapter 6. The Talking Parrot Conspiracy. A week after Daniel left, I decided to clean the house top to bottom, partly to claim it as mine, partly to shake off the ghosts of the past. The attic was my first stop, those journals still whispering secrets I wasn't sure I wanted to hear. As I hauled the box of Dad's old fishing lures downstairs, a squawk erupted from the corner of the living room. I froze, nearly dropping the box on my foot. "Who's the boss now, HUH?" a shrill voice demanded. I spun around, heart pounding, and there it was, a parrot. A bright green, beady-eyed bird perched on the bookshelf, its feathers ruffled like it owned the place. I hadn't seen a parrot in this house in my entire life. Where the hell did it come from? "Hi," I said, inching closer. "How'd you get in here?" "Daniel's a dummy," it screeched, bobbing its head. "Emily's the queen. Give her the gold." I blinked, then laughed, a sharp, disbelieving bark. "What the—" "Shut up and listen," it snapped, flapping its wings. "They hid the real stuff. Check the basement." This was insane. A talking parrot giving me orders? I rubbed my eyes, half convinced I'd inhaled too much attic dust and was hallucinating. But the bird cocked its head, staring at me like I was the idiot, and I couldn't shake the feeling it knew something. Mom and Dad had never owned a parrot, or had they? I vaguely remembered Dad joking about a feathered spy years ago, but I thought he was kidding. "Fine," I muttered. "Basement it is. But if you're screwing with me, bird, I'm turning you into a pillow." "Smart girl," it cawed, then promptly pooped on the bookshelf. The basement stairs groaned under my weight, the air growing damp and cool. I flicked on the single bulb, casting long shadows over stacks of mildewed boxes and a rusty lawnmower. If there was real stuff down here, it was buried under decades of junk. I started digging, shoving aside a box of Christmas lights when I tripped over something hard. A metal trapdoor, flush with the concrete floor. A padlock gleamed in the dim light, and my pulse quickened. The key from Dad's safe fit like a dream. The trapdoor creaked open, revealing a wooden chest. Inside, gold coins. Actual, shiny pirate movie gold coins, stamped with dates from the 1800s. There had to be hundreds of them, glinting like they'd been waiting for me to stumble in. Tucked beside them was a note in Mom's handwriting. "For Emily, the real treasure. P.S. Don't tell Daniel about Percy. He'll sell him." Percy, the parrot. My parents had a secret gold stash and a trash-talking bird, and I'd been left out of the loop my whole life. I hauled the chest upstairs, Percy squawking encouragement, "Move it, slowpoke," and sat there, staring at my inheritance. This wasn't just money. This was a full-on conspiracy, and I was equal parts thrilled and terrified. Question for reflection. What's the wildest thing you've ever found in your family's past? How far would you go to uncover the truth? Chapter 7. The Ghost of Great Uncle Morty. The gold was real. I had it appraised at a shady pawn shop in town for $200,000. But the absurdity didn't stop there. That night, as I sat counting coins like some medieval baroness, Percy started pacing the bookshelf, muttering, "Morty's mad. Morty's mad." I ignored him at first, figuring he was just a nutcase bird. But then the lights flickered, and a cold breeze swept through the room, despite the windows being shut tight. "Okay, Percy," I said, setting a coin down. "Who's Morty?" Before he could answer, a figure shimmered into existence by the fireplace. A translucent, grumpy old man in a tweed suit, smoking a cigar that smelled like burnt socks. I yelped, scrambling backward, and Percy screeched, "Told YA." "Who the hell are you?" I demanded, clutching a throw pillow like it'd protect me. "Great Uncle Mortimer," the ghost huffed, puffing his cigar. "And that gold's mine, Missy. Your folks swiped it from my stash in '72. I gaped at him. "You're saying Mom and Dad were thieves?" "Clever thieves," he corrected, smirking. "Found my loot under the old mill. Hid it here. Thought they'd spend it, but nah, they just sat on it like hens." This was beyond belief. My parents, the quiet couple who argued over grocery coupons, had stolen pirate gold from a dead relative? And now said relative was haunting my living room? I pinched myself, but Morty didn't vanish. Percy flapped over to perch on his shoulder. Apparently, they were buddies, and I decided I'd officially lost my mind. Why didn't they use it? I asked, still clutching the pillow. Guilt, Morty said, shrugging. Or maybe they were saving it for a rainy day. Either way, it's mine and I want it back. Over my dead body, I shot back, surprising myself. They left it to me. Morty chuckled, a raspy sound that echoed off the walls. Feisty, eh? Fine, keep it. But I'm sticking around. This house is boring without me. So now I had a fortune, a sassy parrot, and a ghost with a cigar habit. My life had gone from drama to a circus in 48 hours, and I wasn't sure whether to laugh or scream. Advice for reflection. Sometimes the past comes knocking in the weirdest ways. What would you do if your inheritance came with unexpected baggage? Chapter 8. Daniel's Ridiculous Return. Daniel showed up unannounced the next morning, banging on the door like he owned the place. Technically, he didn't anymore, but try telling him that. I open it, still in my pajamas, with Percy perched on my head and Morty hovering by the stairs, critiquing my decor. Nice bird, Daniel said, raising an eyebrow. Where'd you get it? Long story, I replied, stepping aside. What do you want? He strode in, carrying a duffel bag, and dropped it on the couch. I'm moving back. Startup's toast, creditors are on my ass, and I need a place to crash. I laughed, thinking he was joking, but his face stayed dead serious. You've got the savings, I said. Rent an apartment. Spent it, he admitted, scratching his neck. Bad investments. I'm broke, M. Before I could process that, Percy swooped down, landed on Daniel's shoulder, and pecked his ear. Loser. Loser, he squawked, and Morty cackled from the sidelines. What the get it off? Daniel flailed, swatting at Percy, who dodged like a pro boxer. Percy, chill. I yelled, grabbing the bird. Daniel, sit down. We need to talk. He slumped onto the couch, eyeing Percy warily. I told him everything. The gold, the trapdoor, Morty's ghost, Mom and Dad's secret heist. His jaw dropped lower with every word, and by the end, he looked like he'd aged 10 years. You're kidding, he said finally. Gold? A ghost? This is nuts. Welcome to my week, I replied, tossing him a coin. Proof. He caught it, staring at the glinting surface. So what now? You're rich, I'm broke, and we've got a haunted house. Not we, I corrected. Me. You gave me the house, remember? Yeah, but, he hesitated, then grinned. That old charming Daniel grin. Come on, M. Siblings stick together. Let me stay. I'll cook, I'll clean, I'll even talk to the ghost. Morty snorted. Kid's a liar. He'll eat your food and leave socks everywhere. Shut up, Morty, I muttered, then turned to Daniel. One condition, you pull your weight. No freeloading. Deal, he said too quickly. I didn't trust it, but kicking him out felt cruel. Besides, with Percy and Morty around, he'd have a harder time slacking off than he thought. Question for reflection. How do you balance helping someone you love with protecting your own space? Where's the line between generosity and gullibility? Chapter 9. The Open-Ended Chaos. Living with Daniel, Percy, and Morty turned the house into a sitcom on acid. Daniel burned spaghetti the first night, setting off the smoke alarm, and Percy swooped around yelling, "Fire! Fire!" Daniel's an idiot. Morty, meanwhile, kept rearranging the furniture. Apparently, ghosts can move stuff if they're bored enough. And I woke up daily to chairs stacked like modern art. The gold became our shared obsession. I wanted to save it, maybe invest in something stable. Daniel insisted we live a little and pitched buying a yacht we couldn't sail. Morty suggested burying it again, more fun that way. And Percy just demanded I buy him a solid gold perch. We argued in circles, laughing half the time, shouting the rest. But beneath it all, something shifted. Daniel started opening up about his failures, his fear of never measuring up. I admitted how lost I'd felt, even with the house and the gold. We were a mess, but we were our mess. One night, as we sat on the porch with cheap beer and the coins spread out like a pirate's ransom, a black van rolled up the driveway. Two men in suits stepped out, their faces shadowed by the dusk. Percy squawked a warning, "Strangers, strangers." And Morty vanished, muttering about tax collectors. The men approached, flashing badges that said Treasury Department. "Emily Carter," one asked, his voice clipped. "We've got questions about some undocumented assets." My stomach dropped. The gold. Someone, probably that pawn shop guy, had ratted me out. Daniel shot me a panicked look, and I gripped my beer tighter. Were we about to lose everything? Or could we talk our way out of this? Sure, I said, forcing a smile. "Want a drink? We've got a lot to talk about." They didn't smile back, but they stepped onto the porch. The story wasn't over, not by a long shot. Whatever came next, I'd face it with my broke brother, my foul-mouthed parrot, and my cigar-smoking ghost. Maybe that was the real treasure, not the gold, but the chaos we'd built together. Advice for reflection. Life throws curveballs, some hilarious, some terrifying. What's one crazy twist you'd embrace if it brought you closer to the people you care about? And just when you think you've figured it out, bam, the treasury knocks, and everything's up in the air. Will Emily keep the gold? Will Daniel finally step up? Or will Great Uncle Morty haunt them into next week? That's where we leave it, open, messy, human. Because isn't that life? 1 minute you're counting coins, the next you're dodging ghosts and government suits. Thanks for sticking with me through the weight of ink here on Whispers of the Mind. If this story hit you, made you laugh, gasp, or maybe even rethink your own family secrets, drop a like and let me know in the comments. What's the wildest thing your family's hiding? And hey, if you don't want to miss the next twist, because trust me, we're just getting started, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. Whispers of the Mind is where the shadows talk, and I'd love for you to be part of the conversation. See you in the next one. Stay curious.